Well, people ask about how to care for a newborn kitten. And this little kitten just came into our lives today. One of the hardest things to know is exactly how old this kitten is. But there's a few tips. Apart from the size, and every new kitten in the veterinary clinic would be weighed. So we would want to know exactly the weight of a newborn kitten. And the reason is so we can record it to make sure it's putting on weight. For a newborn kitten, usually the umbilicus here would be wet. So if you find a little kitten with a wet umbilicus, perhaps you're on a walk or lying on the street, the most important thing to do is to check there's not a mother around. Because the best thing on earth to care for this little kitten is its mother. We're going to try our best, but the sad fact of the matter is many orphan kittens will not survive, no matter what we do for them. So if you find a newborn kitten, it's best, obviously you want to make sure it's safe. If it's in a wild area, you want to make sure it's not going to be picked up by a wild dog or a rat or a snake or some other animal like that. If it's in a street situation, people often just find them lying in the gutter or along a passageway. Then there's a good chance there may be a mother around. A simple thing you can do nowadays is to set up a CCTV camera or go and watch and see if a mum does come back. However, that's wishful thinking, because the long and short of it is, most of the time, probably the little kitten that's just been found will have been abandoned for some reason. Why do mums abandon kittens? They can abandon them because they're not well themselves. Sometimes the mums are not healthy when they're giving birth. Or sometimes the mother cat has an inner feeling and she knows perhaps a little kitten cannot survive. And she wants to devote her time, her energy, her milk to the kittens that she has taken away. Whatever the reason, we usually don't know. So with an orphan like this, we have to then start and look after it. What are we going to do? The first thing we're going to do is make sure that the temperature and the environment for this kitten is right. Little kittens like this should be in around about 30 degrees to 32, 33 degrees centigrade. But what you cannot do is just plonk them on something like a hot water bottle, because I've seen many kittens burnt by hot water bottles. You can use nice blankets, you can use a warm room, you can use infrared light if necessary, but don't use something that can burn the kitten. The next most important thing is, of course, the humidity. We don't want it to be too humid around this kitten. So humidity of about 55 to 60 degrees is probably just about right. If there's more than one kitten, and in this case we actually have two, they will sleep together, they will cuddle in together, and that will help to control the environment in the space that you've got them in. The space has got to be safe from any other animals in the environment as well, or children. Children love to come and see newborn kittens, but it's not the best thing that these kittens are handled by many people in the family. Then, of course, very important is feeding. For a little kitten that's under a week of age, if you're going to foster this kitten, you're going to be feeding it every 2 hours. And not only are you going to put the food into it, which comes like this, a special formula milk powder specially designed for kittens that has the right protein combination with carbohydrates and fats for growing kittens. It's got to be at the right temperature and it's got to be the right amount. And for feeding it, this little kitten has got to be trained. It's got to be accustomed to using a little teat or a pacifier like this, because this is not the same as its mother's teat. We don't recommend, unless you've been very well trained or you are a professional and you know what you're doing, that you use a syringe to feed the kitten, simply because it's very easy to squeeze too much of the milk into the kitten, and that can go into the lungs and it can cause an aspiration pneumonia. So for the first week, you're going to be making a lot of milk. You only make small quantities at a time. You don't make a large amount. You're going to have it at the right temperature. As long as it's not too hot, you're just going to test it the same as feeding a baby. You're then going to get the kitten into a position, and usually about 45 degrees. Just imagine the kitten suckling from its mother, lying and suckling from its mother. You're going to have it in a position so that when it does suckle, when it does take its milk, it's going to go down into its tummy and not be brought up and perhaps go into the lungs. After eating, after taking the milk at this very, very young age, it's important that you help the kitten to pass its urine and its feces. What mums do is they use their tongue, which is very rough, and we can simulate this by using a bit of gauze or a bit of cotton, and just very, very gently, once you've fed the kitten, just very, very gently stimulate it by rubbing its anus. Oh, and guess what? I got what I wanted. This little kitten just passed its urine all over me. Well done. That was great. These little kittens, as they get older, they get fed less often. They go from every 2 hours to every 3 to 4 hours, and they need the milk. This is their life support until they're between 3 and 4 weeks of age, when you can then introduce them to a runny, a very watery cat diet, whatever you're going to feed. There's many, many different brands on the market, and kittens will begin to lick this more solid food from about 3 to 4 weeks of age. And you can do that by just gently popping it on your finger, letting them lick it. If you've got a healthy kitten, they're usually very happy to start this when they're old enough to, because cats are obligate meat eaters, and they need the protein, they need the meat in their diet as they grow up.